I'm Morey White.
I'm Tracey White.
And I'm Pastor Johnny Leckie, and this is the Compass Church Conversation Podcast.
We will follow you. You have the name above every name. We will follow you, King Jesus.
All right, guys, here we are again. Second time around.
Here we are again.
Here we are again.
But it's different because we're not sitting in the comfortable couches.
That's true. But we have a better angle, I think.
Do we?
We were kind of leaning
I
back.
don't know. I think next time we should probably put a camera over there at the back of Morey's head.
I like that. Very bad.
The back of your head.
I like
Welcome to the Back of Morey's Head
The back of my
podcast.
head and then just a mirror right here, so you can see the camera in the back,
That's not bad.
and we're just looking at a reflection.
Well, I am feeling better. You know, I said last week that I wasn't sick. That's what I said. I'm not sick, I just sound sick.
You did say that.
And then I went to bed and woke up the next day, and I was so sick I didn't even go in to the school to do any work there. I was not well.
We are glad you're better.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. My voice sounds a little better. I do kind of miss that deep bass I had going on though.
Oh, yeah. Can't call you brother anymore? Is that what it is?
Brother.
Although,
How's it
there was a
going?
lot of coughing yesterday. Today's Monday, by the way. And
It's Monday. This is following our big Sunday.
Big Sunday, which was great. So we're here in the studio, which is where we normally practice, and so you'll see the mess behind us from our all of our gear.
It's a beautiful mess.
It is. I love it.
I love it too. But yeah, my voice came back, but it's true. I did have a few coughing. Like that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
I still have a
Thank you
few
for
in
the
me.
demonstration.
Well, I still have
That's
a few. I have a few in me. I still have a few coughs. And see, what I was saying last time was cough into my coffee.
Cough.
But you guys never got that, I don't think.
I get it.
I get it now.
I got it. I think Kathy was the only one that got it right. Or was it?
Well, I don't know. I think it was probably Julie.
Maybe Julie. Maybe it was Julie.
It wasn't funny
One of
then.
those.
It's not funny now. I don't know why I'm still saying it. All right. Well, hey, let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about yesterday. But before we do that, just to bring some clarity to our podcast, this is you guys. Tell us a little bit about you. Let's start over here with Morey. What you usually do during the week. Just a little bit about who you are and what you're contributing here today.
I work with data.
From Star Trek.
From Star Trek. Yeah, from Star Trek. Doesn't that sound exciting? I work with information.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Business intelligence is what they call it.
Data sort of has business intelligence.
Yeah, he does have some business intelligence. So, that's my full-time job. Also in a rock and roll band,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
which is a lot of fun. And I have the privilege of being in the worship band for the church. It's a wonderful thing.
It is.
Married with a couple of kids, and the brother of Tracey.
Is that our segue?
That is my segue.
Segue.
Hi,
Tracey.
So I do design visualization, which means I take, for a big infrastructure engineering and consulting firm, project management stuff, but I take data in, not the data that you mess with, but like engineering drawings, and I build pretty 3D models out of that to show what something is going to look like whenever it's finished.
He does cool stuff.
You do
Yeah.
very cool stuff.
It is cool. I like it because I get to do the real-time stuff, which I use a game engine, and because I'm a big gamer, it kind of appeals to me. I'm also in the Air Force Reserves. Been doing that for 29 years
Oh, that's right.
and a half, so I only have 3.5
A
before
lot
they
of that
kick me
active,
out.
though. A lot of that
There's
active.
some bunch of active years, yep. And also a drummer in the same rock band that Morey is in, oddly enough.
Yeah.
And also have the privilege of playing in the worship band,
Yeah.
for Compass, and we really enjoy that a lot. So, 3 kids, and my oldest and his significant other have one on the way, so I'm going to be a grandpa and catch up with you two guys.
Grandpa.
Yep.
All right. Rock on.
In other words, we're not young anymore.
Well, and Emily is graduating in a couple of weeks.
Oh, my.
Like 3 weeks.
Oh my.
You excited about that though?
Pretty excited to get her out of the house. I mean, to
Easy now.
watch her walk across the stage. That's what I meant.
Wah, wah.
I'm kidding.
Horsing around. We love you then. Well, all right. Well, let's see. What was I going to say next? Oh, yeah. Anyway, I just want to clarify that you guys you have a lot of history, good and bad, with church. We were talking just briefly about that last time.
Oh.
But yeah, just want a little background of who you are. You're both way smarter than me.
We're
with these
preacher's
things that
kids.
you're doing.
Also, preacher's kids.
Preacher's kids.
Let that settle in.
Yep, we talked about that.
We can
briefly
stay
last
kids
time.
because Dad is like still way older than
He's
we
way
are.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad, I hope you're listening to this.
Wow.
Love you.
Wow.
What?
That's the vibe. That's the vibe we're going with
That's
tonight.
what kids are supposed to do. It doesn't matter how old we are. We're supposed to give our parents a hard time. Is that correct?
I certainly
I
hope
think
not.
it's biblical.
I certainly hope not, man.
Maybe just tradition, bro.
I don't know if
Little
it's
different
that.
Whatever.
At least the
Not doctrine.
The
but
negative
tradition.
side of it's probably biblical. What's going to happen to you? Not honoring your father and mother.
Get some lashings.
Just having some fun.
That's right.
All right. Well, is there anything from the last episode that we want to talk about? We were talking about More, Stronger, Closer last time, and it's just kind of our kind of blanket, what we're about, what we do. Is there anything about that was kind of left hanging? Or?
What did we leave hanging on that?
I don't think we left anything hanging. We talked a whole lot. Now there was a lot to delve into.
Yeah. Oh man, we could
Keep
go
going,
on for
yeah. And maybe
way too long.
But that's
26 minute. Let me tell you, I got to tell you, we try to keep this down to a lower amount of time, but it is really hard.
Because
Because
we get going.
after church, most of the time we hang out at the curb for about an hour,
Yeah, give or take.
give or take. That's
it fluctuates.
yeah, it does fluctuate, but I mean, fellowship of the curb takes a long
Fellowship of the
time.
curb.
And
The
we
true
do that.
compass thing is the fellowship of the curb. I love the fellowship of the curb. It's nice diffusing. But anyway, is there anything about that, the More, Stronger, Closer? Because we're going to come back. We'll talk about it some more down the road too. But was there anything you guys? I mean, we didn't talk about fellowship. Yeah, we did. I think we talked about all of them briefly.
Yeah.
We did. Well,
I mean, do you want to dig in on anything in particular? Or?
Not necessarily. No.
you know, you did talk about. We talked about stronger last time, and on Sunday, you talked about service, servanthood,
We did.
specifically out of Mark
Chapter 3.
Mark chapter 3, where you were talking starting at verse 20.
Verse 20. We read more.
We read
but
a whole
as I
lot.
said,
All the way to 35, but
but 20 is where we
20
wanted
was
to stay.
what the whole thing was about.
But we were talking about, or you. I wasn't doing much talking unless I was talking in my sleep. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure.
Once again,
I'm pretty
this
sure.
doesn't
There
happen
we go.
Amen. Sorry, inside joke.
that is an inside joke. Well, you tell the inside joke. It was when I was growing up. There was a deacon who sat on the
Yes.
front row of my church, and that's what he always did. He said he would, no matter what was said, he would go, "Amen." He would always laugh. Amen. Amen. It didn't matter what was said, even if it needed an amen, he would just do it. But now you guys do it. But not in church, I'm thankful.
No, we don't do that.
Yeah, I
Just on
mean,
the
you know, it's kind of. We grew up Church of Christ, and so there wasn't a whole lot of vocalization during a message.
No.
The silence. And
Yeah. Which is why I love hearing Dad talk about whenever he was preaching up in
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah.
And some of the churches that he got to preach at there.
a lot more expressive.
Very expressive. It was awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're sort of a weird mix. I mean, we don't on Sundays. Although anybody's welcome, to chatter back a little is what I call it. It's like batter chatter, but
Yeah.
hey, preacher, hey, swing. Don't do that.
Okay, maybe not like that. But I mean, that's kind of one of the cool things about, where we meet and how, our service is structured. It's very low key, informal.
Very informal.
We focus on, what we feel is important. That's getting, praying, getting in the Word, learning something, strengthening our the bonds with God and each other. And I think that's really cool because anybody can come in the door and feel comfortable right away because there's no, sideways glances. There's no, hey, what are you doing here kind of thing. No. It's all, we're real welcoming and I think
nobody has a favorite pew.
No. Right.
Well,
but you guys have leaned into a few favorite chairs.
We do. I have
we need to switch that up.
Just to keep it fresh.
Kathy and I like that chair. It's an oversized chair.
Base Camp Sunday.
Base Camp Sunday.
You guys are sitting in that oversized chair.
I guess that.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say something and it was going to be really meaningful, but I have no idea what I was going to say now.
That's cool, bro.
It was going to be wonderful.
Yeah. I believe. Thank you.
Did it have to do with welcoming people? Maybe we'll bring it back to your brain.
Yeah, it probably did have something to do with it. Wow. Okay.
Woo. It's been a day.
Have I mentioned we're not as young as we used to be?
Come on. We're just tired. This is the end of a Monday, and yesterday was a long day. And
Snowmageddon coming.
Snowmageddon's happening here in Aurora. We hope. I kind of hope. I know most of you guys don't really, because we go to work. But since I'm also working at that school,
I work from
gives me a chance to take
take a day. Yeah, I'm working at home.
Take a day, hang out with my fam.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, all right. Well, let's jump into yesterday, because yesterday was kind of odd for me. I thought you were mentioning a minute ago. We were in Mark chapter 3,
starting verse 20,
and verse 20. You guys have Bibles?
And we actually.
There's an app.
There's an app for that. And by the way, while you're looking for that, I highly recommend the YouVersion Bible app. And also a quick commercial. We are recording this today right here at 3DB Studios in Aurora. If you have a rock band that you want to do some recording, I highly recommend this studio. I need to put the link to that I'll put the link in the notes to this. So just a little FYI.
Sound like a rock star.
Sound like a rock star.
Yes.
3DB Studios. Maybe not my vocal for promo. Not. All right, did you find it there, Morey?
I did.
All right, I'm going to pull in the specs.
Yeah,
I don't have my glasses.
Again.
I didn't bring my glasses. Okay, yeah, Jesus entered a house and the crowd gathered again so that they were not even able to eat. Yeah, that was it.
That's right. And then mom and bros and sisters, they come along and they're like, he's out of his mind.
He's out of his mind. That's right. That's really where we part. But it was interesting. Morey, you were saying something. We were talking about serving.
I was, and I do remember that.
Now you got it. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, we were talking about, or you, there again, because I wasn't talking.
You were having a conversation in your mind.
Yeah, I did have a conversation in my mind, but that's a whole nother story. But they're talking about how, the disciples, when Jesus was in this house and there was a crowd around, they weren't over in a corner. They were helping Jesus. They were serving.
Yeah.
And you got to imagine the crowd. They're talking about that you couldn't even sit down to eat. Well, they kind of lounged, but they couldn't eat because there was just way too many people there.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of people. I mean, a lot of handshaking, a lot of hugs, holy kiss, whatever they did. A lot of, you mentioned, hey, those that can't see over here. And they led them.
I'm just kind of
they led them because you couldn't point.
This isn't deep study into it. I mean, there had to be some of that going on, is what I was saying. They were there with Jesus and they were helping.
And you said those that were lame, well, over here, but they kind of helped them by carrying them, or a wheelchair.
And then
they didn't have it. And then he says,
I know. It wasn't in my notes. You can go ahead and say
those of you that are deaf, just come this way.
I kind of went blank on that moment. Yeah, it's like I don't know what they did, but they motioned them or something.
Well, the point was that there were people there, and word got out that he was healing the sick, and so all of the sick people were showing up, and he was healing them, but there had to have been some sort of semblance of being organized a little bit. So I'm pretty sure that the folks with him were trying to get people in that needed to be in, and people seated, and hey, tall people in the back, tall short people in the front.
So Tracy, are you conjecturing that they lined them up in order of their height?
That would be the military.
Shortest will be healed first. The tallest shall be last.
Yes.
No.
So you're saying there's a special place in heaven for those that are tall? Wow.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
It's heaven's got a big ceiling. All right. Anywho, we're being goofy now.
We are.
Well, but the whole idea behind that verse, and the reason I parked it there for the amount of time I did, was that not just a few chapters before, we see that they were called from their life as fishermen. Right. And it wasn't like they never fished again, by the way. Sometimes we think they completely left everything completely. And they essentially did as they traveled with Jesus. But just the whole idea that he said, come follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. I always use the King James of that, fishers of men.
Yeah. That sounds really...
It sounds more holy.
It's holy.
I'm not a fisherman. I am a fisher of men. Okay.
Right.
Well, anyhow, but the idea was, you fish. I want to show you how to fish for people. And then just not far down the road, at least in the telling of the Gospel of Mark, there they are amidst the crowd of people and among people, and that's the kind of richness that's happening in that story, I think, and that's where we're getting this. They were with him. They were with him while he was sitting there, or he was standing there while he was healing people. Mm-hmm. They were helping. They weren't just standing on the side. And there was that moment, I imagine in the text there that they're looking at each other, and maybe they're catching each other's eyes, like maybe this is what he was talking about. We're fishing for people.
I just had a thought. Following Jesus is not a spectator sport.
That's right. That is it. Ooh. Exactly. Yeah. It's not a spectator.
I just had an image of Big Sunday.
Yes.
And how the disciples were with Jesus. When a Big Sunday is whenever we have all our music, and we set up in the gymnasium of the school. Mm-hmm. We have a big curtain that divides it. We put out more chairs. There's musical instruments, so there's a lot of setup involved.
Yeah,
just for y'all out there. And we all know that, but it's really funny because we all pull everything in, and then we all go to work, and there's no, hey, go do this, go do that. I mean, everybody has some specialties. For example, Tracy does set up his drums. I set up my bass. Johnny usually sets up his keyboards.
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
Michael does sound.
Michael does some sound, but even at that, we're all doing it together, getting power to the right place, putting up the curtains, and everybody. It's really kind of neat because we're to the point now where nobody has to say,
"Where's this go?"
Yeah, where does this go?
That?
We just do, right? And I imagine that it was probably similar to that.
Yeah.
At that house,
I can see that.
Jesus probably wasn't having to say, "Hey, go put him over there." I think it was probably. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the guys that started to get. I mean, again, it doesn't say.
No, it doesn't
right?
say. But
so I don't want to read
imagine.
in too much. But at the same time, there was probably a little bit of that. And I was still in the early days. They were still getting to know each other and stuff too. But I can see what you're talking about. Yeah.
But the same thing has happened. We try to go out and serve in our community. In a lot of times, just little ways. Like during the summer, we handed out the frozen popsicles and balloons to kids,
balloons and pops.
At parks. But it was the same thing. We just went.
Yeah, went
out and did.
We had a plan.
We had a plan.
We knew what we were doing, but
we have a plan now. Jesus, he set the plan.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, we did a lot of things this summer.
we did do a lot of
Actually, we
things.
painted in the school.
Yep.
We were out in the in the parks, as you say, with the pops and the
Did the movie
balloons.
night.
We did movie
Water
night.
time. We did water one time.
Yeah, we did water bottles out
Water
one
bottles.
time, and
The
we've-
trunk or treat.
that's right. We helped
The
with
glow
the
and go
schools.
station.
Yep.
We're
Stove.
Christmas caroling coming up.
Oh yeah, all
So
that
we
stuff.
love being out and doing stuff in our community. I think that's kind of a great way to share
Yeah,
the message,
I think so.
make a connection.
The great thing about it too, and this is something that's often overlooked, is that sometimes you'll hear a pastor, well-meaning, and actually correctly say that if you're a follower of Jesus, you should be sharing Jesus with others. You should be having conversations, or you should be going out and telling people. But the honest truth is, most people in a given week aren't sure where those opportunities really are. So unless we actually plan together, it might not ever happen unless it just sort of a conversation springs up or whatever. But the thing about it is, when we go out and we do these things together, two things are happening. It opens up opportunities to share the gospel message with people, but it also helps us to begin to care about people and also grow closer together at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that same kind of camaraderie.
It is.
It's like if I go out there and I get some rejection, like for example, we went to the park, there was somebody who gave sort of a negative response. We
They
found
did.
out, oh, you're a church? Oh, I don't,
Right.
we don't believe in anything. What did they say? Was it you guys? Who
Yeah.
was that? That
yeah.
was you.
It was us. And so, yeah, she just said, yeah, we don't do church.
Did they take the balloon eventually?
They did. They took the balloon.
Okay, good.
I was handing the card, and she didn't want the card, and I said, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
We're not we're not out here to force it.
You either take the card.
Give me the water and the balloon, okay?
That's right.
Give it.
That's not what it's about.
No.
It's not. I mean, obviously, whenever we go do something like that, we want to reach people, plant a seed, and have them come to church if they're not currently
Right,
going
yeah,
to
of
church,
course.
right? But I don't look at it as a recruitment effort, right?
Yeah, right, sure.
I mean, even though I think in essence it kind of is, but
Well, ultimately, it will.
yeah.
It's more of a shotgun approach,
yeah,
but-
and that's, I mean, I don't want it to sound like we go and do stuff like that for selfish reasons for Compass Church, right?
Right, exactly.
It's not like
not
that.
that.
We're going out because we're supposed to serve, and that's what we do.
yeah.
And one of the returns on that effort, I think, is hopefully opening somebody's heart to knowing Jesus.
Yeah.
And then, if they come to our church, they do. If they don't, maybe they were, going to a church somewhere else, and then we're out there, we visit with them, and they're like, you know what, maybe I should start going back to church. And they go back to the church.
Yeah.
And I go, that's
Yeah.
fine.
That's
that is
absolutely
great.
good, yeah.
So
Well, and that's what's great about it too is when you guys go. That was such a good experience being out there, because every time you go out and you put yourself out there, just on behalf of Christ,
Yes.
even if it's just giving something away and you don't have a deep conversation, but every time you do that, you're building your own personal boldness and your
Yes.
ability to do that. But what I was going to say about this from before is that if you go out there and you have that experience and then someone is negative, the great thing is because we're doing this together, we come back and there's a safe zone of encouragement. Because
Yes.
even if someone is negative to you, you can kind of go, they were negative. But and now I can tell that story when I get back. It's not like, oh, I'm so dejected. I feel like, if it was just you by yourself,
Right.
how was that again?
I was adding some dramatic embellishment.
Kind of remind me of a teenager.
A little emo-ish. Well, but I'm just saying, you have that experience. The great thing about being in the context of fellowship or church is that when you come back, you can share that, you can encourage each other. You can say, man, that was awesome. It looks like you answered that great, or you responded well. Or maybe if you don't, you still come back. We're together, and we can say, well, maybe next time that happens, try this.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm just saying we are sharing Jesus with people. We're being real clear about that. It's not like a bait and switch. We're giving things away, but it's in the name of Jesus. And Compass Church is the church we are. But it also, like I said, strengthens you, and then it builds us together because we have a common mission and goal.
That reminds me of when I was in boot camp. We had to run 3 miles every day. For you two guys, not a big deal.
It is right now.
For me, for me at the time, it was a difficult thing. I'm more of a sprinter, not a long distance guy.
Yeah.
So, we'd run 3 miles as a group, and I got to tell you, that made it easier because you're trying to. They were all encouraging each other, or we were all trying to get us all across that finish line together. Now, at the end of boot camp, when I got home, I could run that 3 miles by myself.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
So going out and being bold together is a wonderful thing, so that you're in that moment when you're by yourself, you have that strength and that boldness on your own.
Because you even know
well,
in
you
that
still
setting.
have Jesus with you, but
right, of course. But even in now, when you're having those conversations alone, even still, you have that net that says, I can't wait to tell my friends at church or whatever that I had this experience this week, and they're going to encourage me and pray with me or whatever.
So not only is following Jesus not a spectator sport, it's a team sport.
And we have a theme.
Thank you. I expected it to somehow come up in the lesson.
That's right.
So one of your messages is you got to
You want to write that down?
Analog to sports somehow, but not football unless it's football.
Football.
Which reminds me of a good friend of mine when we were deployed over in the Middle East. A very good friend of mine. I got to spend every single day with this man, and we talked every day something spiritual.
Nice.
And there was a lot of questions, and I really hope that I answered them correctly. And even if not, I'm pretty sure that I know God was there touching me anyway to have the right answers, but it was just really neat being able to share that on a daily experience or a daily
Day-to-day basis.
Day-to-day basis, I think is what you're after.
Johnny, can you edit that out?
It's gone.
Yeah, right.
There's not much editing going on in this.
There's words. Words are hard. I'm sorry.
Not too much.
That was one of my highlights over there. I mean, there was a lot of highlights, but being able to share that. I was in the praise band over there at the chapel in the desert too. So
that was very cool.
Which was fun. But yeah, being able to share that, I don't know if you guys look for those opportunities with your friends to share something on a regular basis. Yeah, I think it's really important.
I have a question though, and today I had somebody say to me, "Why am I not surprised you're a preacher's kid? Is that good or bad?"
That depends. What was that in response to?
I guess it depends on whether they've known any
I'm
preachers.
a preacher's kid.
Well, yeah.
If
Or
they've
growing
known
up
any
a
pastors.
preacher's kid. Yeah.
That's what it all depends. If they've never known any pastors or pastors' kids, then you're good.
Yeah.
If they have known those, then that's not a good thing. Isn't that the filter? Oh no.
We got it kind of figured out. We started getting it figured out.
Yeah.
Is that microphone connected? I hope it is. Okay.
Oh, how funny that would be.
Wouldn't it?
That would not be funny.
It is.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Oh, yeah.
It is.
Okay.
You got bars.
All right.
Total tangent there. All right. Well, anyhow, so we were talking about Mark 3:20 yesterday, and again, there's that idea of service. And something happened to me. I got to tell you, I don't do this, and it bugs me when I see a pastor or some preacher guy or some evangelist or somebody, and they begin to talk, and then they begin to start to talk a little like this, and it just moves or whatever, and you kind of get the feeling that they're sort of trying to play on the crowd and build some emotional thing. And you guys have known me long enough to know that never happens with me. And I don't know if it's because I'm hard-hearted. No, it just never really does. And so it really surprised me that in the context of that message, and I was sharing about an opportunity I had many years ago, serving with a bunch of teenagers. We were doing World Changers. We were working hard and serving together during the day, and then in the evening we were worshiping together, and we were sharing those hardships, but we were also sharing the joy. And somewhere in the context of that, and as well as Mark 3:20, it's like Leona and I were trying to talk. We're talking about this, and I was trying to pinpoint what was it that choked me up really, and she said, "Well, you were saying something about." That the disciples then became martyrs and whatever. And I said, yeah, but that kind of followed my choking up.
Yeah.
Because it was like the progression of the idea. So it wasn't really that, although that's amazing, right? That those early disciples, most of them were, martyred and gave their lives, for the sake of the gospel. But it wasn't that. It was... I think it was just that the idea that in the context of the broken world that we're in, that Jesus would call us even as he called those disciples. And I mentioned that about them being by that beautiful sea.
Yeah.
Those early disciples, come away from that, follow me. And yet, even though it's going to be hard, even though it's going to be difficult, even though there's going to be trials, I'm going to bring a new idea of family. We'll be talking about that a little bit more down the line.
Nice.
Because it's in that passage we read.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's a deeper sense of fellowship and of purpose. And even though you left that beautiful thing, and now you're in the the raw, sweaty middle of ministry with me, it will be so worth it, and you'll be filled with gratitude for yourself. And I guess every bit of that, and also in the context of history of ministry in my own life, I think it just sort of all kind of came together in one sort of emotional moment,
storm.
and I choked up for a minute.
And that's okay.
But it wasn't like tears flowing, although if I had kept going, probably. But anyway, hello? Got a phone coming?
I'm ignoring it.
Anyway, I just wanted to address that it's not a common thing, but yeah, I got choked up about that. And I think also, as I'm looking around at all of you guys and how, obviously, this is not the disciples scenario, but for Leona and I, we made a huge faith step and moved to Colorado and to look around and to see a variety of different people and the kinds of things that have happened just because we came here. And so even Compass Church, God's going to do what he's going to do with whoever he wants. If I say, no, I'm not going to do what you want, he's still going to continue and call others.
That's true.
So it's not just about me, but on a personal level, as I've stepped into his story, that's what I was talking about, that we leave our story, we step into his. Right. It makes the story I'm in so much more vivid, so much more meaningful. And so I guess all of that together is sort of what got me there.
You say
like, this is awesome, right? It's beautiful being with you guys, beautiful being in this moment, and knowing God's called us to do great things.
It really is discipleship. You're the one that's teaching, but you're teaching from the word of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right.
So you're imparting his words.
Yeah.
To us, and we are learning from that. Now, I wonder, and for me, it would be very emotional to see people get it.
Yeah, light bulbs coming on.
Yeah, the light bulbs.
Yeah, love that so much.
Yeah, so you saw that probably a lot with the kids that were there, and you're seeing it today.
On that trip, yep.
You're seeing it today.
Yeah.
With a lot of people in that room.
Yeah.
Who... We're getting all. I don't know about you guys. I'm really excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah. So there's a lot of excitement, and I don't. Tracy and I grew up in church, and I don't want to say that it didn't bring on that excitement, because that excitement, some of it was still there.
Sure.
I think there were some things that happened, some lessons that we had to learn. For example, anytime you get people involved.
Yeah.
There's potential for problem. There's
start
only
people.
one. Johnny says this all the time.
Right.
There's only one perfect person, and we're there to worship.
That's who we're there to worship.
That's the only one. That's who we're there to worship. How do you say it? That's how you say it.
Something like that. At least a good paraphrase.
That was pretty good, Morey.
How does he say it?
You said
It's
it
much
so
more-
closely.
It's much.
I just say
better
there's no perfect people out. None of us are perfect.
except for the one
No perfect people are allowed at our church except the one that we're here to worship.
To worship,
that's
yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
And so there was a lot of lessons that I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for Tracy, but we've talked about it a lot. There's a lot of lessons that we've learned along the way, and we're still learning.
Good.
And it's a wonderful thing. We're learning to get past ourselves, and I had to learn the hard way. I've taken the long road to learn a lot of the lessons I'm learning, and I'm still learning more.
Yeah, somehow it's been hard to stay on the straight and narrow.
That's a whole other podcast.
More like the S curve of death.
Along the way.
And then bouncing off a couple of walls and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, there's probably some interesting stories, I think, at this table right here.
Yeah,
and I know there's some interesting stories within our families as well.
And maybe those will come out too as we go. If we keep doing this,
I don't know.
some of
if
these
we-
stories may.
There's some things you don't want to reveal.
Right. No, I agree.
Let's just leave it at mistakes have been made.
Mistakes have been made.
So
Things have been done.
here's
that cannot be undone.
You know what? No, and you're right. There's some things that look. Regardless of all that, we're still forgiven.
Yes.
And we're still made perfect, right?
Exactly. Thank you, God.
Yes,
That's
right?
amazing.
Yes.
Well, look
I
at
know,
all those
I'm like,
guys. All those guys that Jesus called. I mean, every
Yeah.
one of them had, history. I mean, even, Peter and his brothers. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of that story, but the truth of the matter is, we're all sinners. We're
Yeah.
all imperfect. And there's some level ground at the foot of the cross because none of us are getting there on our own.
Well,
None of us are going to make it on our own.
And I guess the other comfort behind that is when Jesus went and did, he was with the sinners.
Yeah,
the people that just want
guys like us.
Guys
We're
like
sinners.
us. Those of us that really, really needed him most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really love that about the whole story.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, that's some good stuff. How far are we
I
in
don't
today?
know.
What's your time stamp?
We're at 7:16, so I don't know. I
We'll
don't want to
keep
get
track.
up and look over at the.
I can do that.
Well, we're at
Look at the
the.
monitor. Here, I'll look at
It's
it.
easier for you to get up
Yeah,
there.
I'll get over here.
And now, during this riveting moment of podcast, interview, conversational, what was it?
How long do you want to go for?
How long have we gone?
37 minutes.
37?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, well, we probably ought to wrap it up.
I think there was a few seconds at the beginning that'll be chopped
Chopped
off.
off, yeah, I'll chop it up.
Yeah, so-
All right. Well, all right, guys. Well, hey, I've enjoyed talking with you tonight. Is there any final word on this topic? I mean, we kind of meandered a little bit, but it was a reflection on yesterday, which felt really, really good. I really enjoyed worshiping with you guys yesterday. You sounded good,
Absolutely.
too.
Well, thanks.
I thought that sounded great.
You did too.
Because the practice that we had done a few days before, I went home going, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Sunday, I thought everybody sounded great.
Thank you for letting us do one more song at the end.
Yeah, well, we need to
that's
do
good. There's
that
a reason
every
for that.
time,
I think
and I just
so.
didn't even think about it. But yeah, it's always good to end with at least one big song.
There was some amazing things that happened yesterday, so I thought it was very important to go back and magnify
And magnify. That's
the
right.
creator, the one who made all of that happen.
Yeah,
Love that song too.
Yeah.
I like playing it.
Magnify.
A lot of energy.
It's a lot of fun. We got to find a few more.
Speaking of
like
which, I was standing.
it.
I was standing.
Oh, you're
instead
standing
of
playing
sitting.
bass.
That's
something
There's
new.
a reason. There's a reason I sit all the time, and it has to do with when I'm playing, especially when I'm praising. I get a little excited.
Yeah.
And I move around
Yeah.
a little bit, and I did. I kept most
all
of it under control. I
You weren't
wasn't
like
jumping at
spinning.
things.
You
I
weren't
didn't.
like doing anything.
I didn't do that.
Well, you know what? You should come see one of our,
See you
regular
spin?
rock band performances because he
Does a little
boogies.
spin.
Yeah. he
Yeah, but
boogies.
that's actually. I really have to work at that. But it's not the same when I'm praising.
Yeah.
That just happens.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, hey, this has been good. We'll keep doing
All right.
this. Please let us know of some things you'd like for us to talk about. Like I said, this is You know, it's not like a big scripted thing. We're just talking about Compass Church. We're talking about what we're learning about together. If you have some questions that have come up from our conversation, ask those in the comments, and we'll look at those and we'll respond in the best way that we can. Compass Church, we meet every Sunday at Arkansas Elementary School in Aurora, Colorado at 10 o'clock in the morning on Sundays, and we would love for you to be our guest. You can find out more about us at our website, compassdenver.com. All right, guys, I think that's it for now. Are we out?
We're out.
We're out. What's the word? What did we go out on last time?
Love you all.
Love you.
Love you.
Love. Peace. And we'll talk to you next time. We're out.